Hello everyone and welcome back to LM Simulation here on YouTube. So today we are back in, well, Microsoft Flight Simulator is today's theme, what we're going to be trying out. Doing another flight, this one's a lot closer to home. Now this flight I didn't want to do about a month ago, but obviously I haven't been very well, but now I am feeling a little bit better. Hopefully we can get this underway. So what you'll immediately notice is that this is not Microsoft Flight Simulator, this is Flight Radar 24. Now I use Flight Radar 24, it's very good actually. I pay for a silver membership per year, which I think is like £10 or £20 per year, which is not bad at all. Yeah, I use it to plan all of my flights in Flight Simulator because it gives you a real world sort of representation of the flight that you're going to be taking. So today we're going to be doing a flight that is very close to home for me indeed. It's at Birmingham Airport. So here we are, we're at Birmingham Airport and we're going to be taking an easyJet flight today in an Airbus A320Neo. We're going to be going up to Edinburgh. Now you're not going to have the whole flight, you're just going to have well, the setup, takeoff, and then there's going to be a bit of in-flight sort of footage, and after that you'll then get the landing into Birmingham, not Birmingham, sorry, leaving Birmingham. Want to get as far away from Birmingham as possible, and the landing in Edinburgh. So this is leaving the Commonwealth Games essentially, which is what we're doing. So this flight I've actually done in real life. I've actually been on it in real life. I don't think it's this exact flight. I think it's one about 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that, from Birmingham to Edinburgh. It's a flight I've taken in real life either way. So it felt appropriate to want to do it, you know, in the simulator. So, without further ado, let's jump in and welcome to a full video on a flight in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. So, let's do this. Right, so we're going to be doing this flight today, which is U2502, EZ502, which is flight number 502 to Edinburgh from Birmingham. Flight time is a little over just 1 hour. Well, usually it's a little over 1 hour. For me it was over 1 hour, but usually it's about 45 minutes, so it's not going to be a long flight at all. But it is going to take quite a while. The video is probably going to be around that length, if I'm honest. Just to take into account, I've got to do the intro and everything. So anyway, this is the NEC over here, so you're very close to the NEC, and this is Birmingham Airport here. So this flight has got information and footage from when the flight actually took place, the one that I've chosen. So this is, just by the looks of it, the 6th of August, so I believe this was actually this morning. So essentially the flight was at a gate here, it pushed back and then went out onto runway 33 and took off and did a sort of a northeasterly departure, and basically went all the way up just past Manchester, in between Manchester and Leeds, near Carlisle, and then headed over to Edinburgh and just did a very simple approach. It is a very easy, simple flight to do, and I'll show you how simple it is in the default Airbus A320Neo here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we know what flight we're doing, we know what we want to do, so now we just need to jump into the simulator. So here we go, this is Microsoft Flight Simulator. Let me just get rid of the edge, there we go, that's better. Righty ho, so let's go into the world map. Right, so we need to go to Birmingham, which is where we're starting off. That's Warwick Castle, so where's Birmingham? That's Birmingham City Centre, and here's Birmingham Airport. So we'll choose around the same gate that he's just departed from, so I think that was gate 4 or 3, one of the two. So I'll set that as our departure. So now it knows we want to depart from Birmingham. So now we just need to go up to Edinburgh and have a look. Well, we don't know which gate we're going to get. We'll have to decide that. It'll be one of these ones usually at Edinburgh. So we'll just select that Edinburgh as our arrival airport. So roughly speaking, if you're going to do it VFR direct GPS, you can do it in 34 minutes. But obviously, we've got to take into account different things, you see. So we're not doing a VFR, we are doing a High Altitude Airways IFR. So this will now have to take into account current runway sort of thing. So it believes runway 33 is in use. I do believe that is the case. I always go back into Flight Radar just to double check, go into the live departures from Birmingham and have a look if there's any planes that have just taken off or landed. one's just landed from Paris and that landed on 33. So yeah, we're using runway 33 today. So we'll have a 33 departure. We just need to decide which one we want. That is a bit of that's a southbound departure, so we don't want that. Anything that's listed as 15, all these 15 departures, that's if you're departing from the other runway, so we don't want that, the other end of the runway. We want a free departure that is pretty reasonable, very similar to what he just had. Yeah, that looks like it to me, doesn't it? That looks exactly like it. So he did the Leuven 1M free departure. We'll do that then. Sounds fair enough. It's a very simple departure, as you can see. Just go up here via Inpip, Utogu, and then heading into Edinburgh. So now we've got to now we've got the departure set up. We just need to set up the arrival. So now I have to go back into flight radar, sorry, and I just need to go up to Edinburgh and have a look at what runways they're using up at Edinburgh. At the moment, it only takes a couple of minutes. Let's have a look. So he's just departed Edinburgh to Oslo, Norwegian, using runway. Let me just double check here for you. So he was using runway 2, is that 24? It's a bit blurred when you first zoom in. There you go, runway 24. Lovely, so we want to land on runway 24, that's good. So first of all, we'll select the ILS 24, which is where we want to be. Now we need to select an arrival, because it won't know what arrival we're doing. Now we need to select an appropriate arrival for that area. Now this is going to be a bit funny. So that is definitely not the arrival we want. That's alright. Let's have a look. Are there any others? Just want to select an arrival that seems alright. See that? Selecting that we go all the way over to Newcastle, then randomly head all the way over there. I don't think that's reasonable at all. So I think that one's probably the best one. The NP1E, that looks like it, because we had a look on the flight radar. He went pretty much over Carlisle, didn't he? He went pretty much between Manchester and Leeds. Yeah, I'd say that this is the right one. So we head over to Nottingham and then do another left turn, and then we basically are straight all the way up, and then we head over to Edinburgh, ready for the approach over Musselburgh, and then into runway 24. Well, that looks good to me. So next thing we've got to do is select the aircraft. Last thing I flew was the Cessna Citation down to Cos. Bear in mind, I do not know how to do a VNAV or an RNAV landing, so that was a little flight test, and I failed very, very badly, because VNAV and RNAVs are not like ILSs. They don't work in the same way at all. So anyway, right, let's have a look. So we've got the Airbus A320Neo. We need the easyJet livery, which I do believe is down here somewhere. I think they have a new easyJet livery and an old one. And the last video I did, I used the last time I flew easyJet, I used the new one. So I'm tempted to use the old one if I can find it. Oh, here we go. Yep, this is the old easyJet livery. Now, we all miss the old easyJet livery, so well, some of us do. So let's do that today. Let's customize it as, what do we want? GUZHP. There we go, that'll work for me. That's an actual Airbus A320Neo of easyJet in real life. Our call sign will be easy, as it always is, and our flight number is, what were we? We were 502. So we want to change that to 502. That's all we need. Don't need it to be heavy. Let me show the tail number. Well, that should show automatically anyway. So right. So now we need to decide what we want to do. So I usually have it on live traffic. Depends on obviously on the timescales, but we need to select that the time needs to be, well, UTC about 6:40 UTC. There you go. Oh, change that again. 6:52 UTC. That'll work for me. And we'll choose your live weather, that works for me, live traffic. Don't like the online players being on, because that can create a bit of a queue sometimes. So yeah, that works for me. Let's jump into the game. And click fly. Right, so Flight Simulator sometimes takes a few minutes to load, so just give it a moment and we'll soon be there for sure. And there we go, welcome to Birmingham. So, we'll just load it here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut the video because I desperately need a glass of water or something like that just to clear my throat, because I haven't been doing these videos for very long since I've been ill, and I haven't actually got my voice 100% just yet. So I'll be back in a few minutes. See you in a second. Hello everyone, welcome back. I am back, a little bit rehydrated now, which is what you need. So anyway, welcome to the Airbus A320Neo. So this is the cold and dark configuration, as pretty much you'll find when you come into the game for the first time. Once you've just loaded from the start menu, this is exactly what you'll be presented with. So I use the Xbox 360 controller as my joystick. I don't actually have a physical flight joystick or anything, so I don't fly often enough to make the investment worth it. But as you can see, it is extremely realistic. A lot of the hardcore enthusiasts will say that I'm a bit overly positive about this aircraft, and that in fact it is very, very, very unrealistic. Obviously there are a lot of limitations. I don't think that at all. I think it's a fantastic simulation. It's got me into like learning how to fly this thing. About 65%, 75% of the stuff is simulated. So it's got me into learning how to fly an Airbus A320Neo for real. So I can almost do it without a checklist, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to use the checklist today. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to jump into the checklist and get the before starting engine checklist started. So first thing we want to do is turn the battery switches to on. So the battery switches. Now let me just remind myself where the battery switches are. These two, I'm going to guess. Am I right? I am right. Haha, right. So let's turn the battery switches on. Right, okay. The external power can be turned on if available. Well, it is available, so we'll turn it on. The engine generators need to be on with a fault displayed. Fault, that's fine, okay. And believe it or not, that is fine. They are meant to show faults. Don't ask me why, but that is good. That is good news. The engine bleed air switches need to be on. Well, they're on already, as you can see. Pack 1 and Pack 2 are both on. Now we need to turn the master switch for the APU on, which is, I believe, this one. We then need to press the APU start button, which I believe is that one. We just need to wait for the available. So as it said on external power, it said avail. It will say avail on the APU start in a moment once that's started up. I'll also turn the overhead panel lighting down a tad, just because it's not, it's not 9 o'clock at night. It is morning, so let's turn those on as well. So now that's showing is available, we can now turn the APU bleed on, which is this one here. And then you can turn your external power off, which you don't need it anymore if you've got your APU started up. So the APU is auxiliary power unit. That is essentially it's not, I wouldn't say an engine, but it's a powered source that has it has something at the back of, something at the back of the aircraft. I can't think of the word. Like an exhaust at the back of the aircraft, and essentially that powers the aircraft when you don't have the ability to use ground power. Now, when you're first starting up the aircraft, make sure that you put the APU on, just to get everything up and running. If you don't have external power, you can always use external power. APU is used for when you're not, when you don't have access to external power after you've just landed and stuff like that. Anyway, so there you go. And now we need to turn the fuel pumps on. Well, I know where these are. That's here. So this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Are they on? Yes, they're on. Okay, cool. Let's tick that and finally turn the beacon light on. That's good. Lovely stuff. Right. So that's brilliant. So now we have the aircraft all started up. That's our before starting checklist done, 11 items, all ticks off. Obviously in real life there'll be a lot more to do than just that, but for the purpose of this video, that is all we're going to do. So I'm just going to turn the game sound up a tad, just so that you have a bit more of the game to listen to. I don't usually have it on very high because it can get quite loud. So first thing I do, and this is something no pilot will do, and I'm sure this is not the right procedure, but I do it because it works for me. I turn the flight narrator on. Don't ask me why, I just like having it on. It gives me a sense of security for some reason. So right, so what we're going to do now is we'll also turn the wing lights on, also not procedure, but yeah, we'll keep it there. Put the strobe lights on auto. That pretty much is us set up now. So all we need to do now is we need to speak with air traffic control and make sure that everything's done. Now what I am doing is I'm presuming at this point that all loading has completed. You can, of course, get the jetway to be attached and stuff like that, which I might do now just for the purpose of the video. So if you want to get the jetway attached, you have to contact the ATC. In order to contact the ATC, you need to have power to the aircraft. So you need to make sure either ground power is on, external power is on, or the APU is started. All your engines are started, but nobody really starts their engines at the gate, or they shouldn't. Anyway, so we'll go to ground services, and then I'll ask, I'll tune Birmingham ground, and then I'll ask for the jetway to be connected.
Birmingham ground EG502. Could you please connect the jetway to the aircraft?
Hopefully they'll listen. Yes, they will.
The jetway is going to be connected.
Perfect, thank you very much. And what we can also do while we're here is, for the purpose of the video, we can actually ask for the baggage to be sent to the aircraft.
EG502. Could you please send the baggage? EG502
And
baggage is on the way.
That beeping there is telling us that the front door is opening. That's fine. The front door is opening because the jetway's just been attached. So baggage is also on the way, so that's all we need. So catering will have already been done. So now we're loading the baggage and the passengers on the aircraft. So let's have a look at this Airbus A320Neo from the outside. So here we are at Birmingham Airport. It's a beautiful day in Birmingham, which I'm fairly sure is not the case in real life, but apparently this is what it's like in Birmingham right now. Fair enough. Anyway, so let's get this screenshot. There we go. Welcome to Birmingham. Now, I don't have any AI sort of traffic set up on this flight or this simulator, so any AI traffic is managed by the game. As a result, it's probably not going to be very realistic. As I say, look, you know, you've got a bloody, what is that? It's a Carter or something. Carter. Okay. Yeah. As you can see, it's interesting. I have this on live AI, or I should have this on live AI. Just going to double check that because I did turn it off for the last video. So let's go to traffic, real time online. Okay, let's change that to AI offline. Put it up to 78, and then change it to real time online. Save, resume. Yeah. Well, that's Birmingham Airport for you. That's what it wants to do at the moment. I've got no issue with that. It's I'm not here to complain about stuff like that. But yeah, welcome on board the easyJet Airbus A320Neo. The baggage guy has crashed into him. It looks like everything's playing up this morning. Nothing wants to play ball, unfortunately. Where are you going? You're just going to crash into him. There are some aspects of this simulator that you just can't make up. You really can't. But we'll do what we need to do. You know, hopefully you'll get into place in the next 5 minutes and get the baggage loaded. Because otherwise, these people and their baggage aren't going anywhere, are they? They're definitely not going up to Edinburgh. I must admit, it looks like it's a really, really nice game visually. It's just, in terms of the actual like AI, is a bit retarded. It really is. So now it looks like the baggage is actually doing what I needed to do, which is good. Crashing into the engine, even better. And look, he's not even parked in the right place. Well, oh well. At least the jetway's on at the right place, eh? But yeah, this is the old easyJet livery. Do let me know what you think. It is fantastic. I think it looks really good, to be honest. I miss it. I really do. It's kind of iconic, and then they changed it. So, but yeah, fair enough. Anyway, let's get back into the aircraft and get everything sorted. So, back into the cockpit. The first thing I'll do now is our contact clearance, just to get our IFR clearance.
Birmingham ground, EG502 IFR to Edinburgh, ready to copy. EG502 is cleared to Edinburgh Airport as filed. Takeoff runway tree climb and maintain 6,000 feet.
Ah, good, I was right, runway 3.
Departure frequency is 118.775 squawk 564 tree.
So they want us up to 6,000, so that's nice and easy.
EG502
I'll set
cleared
the
to Edinburgh Airport
flying
as filed.
rate at
Takeoff
3,000
runway
feet per
33
minute,
climb
which
and
is
maintain
about standard.
6,000 feet. Departure on 118.
Now the auto throttle, I can't get it to work properly. It's been an issue ever since the aircraft was first released. I'm not sure why it's not been fixed, but it is what it is at the end of the day. So, right, I'm not going to request taxi just yet because we've got people still loading the aircraft, I believe. Let's have a look. Yeah. Still loading. I have no idea what they're doing. I might tell them to bugger off in a minute, just because I need to get going on this flight, and they're just going to mess about, purposely be idiots. So there you go, lovely. Baggage is done, and we'll request jetway disconnection in a second. Well. The baggage door's going to close now. There we go, lovely stuff. So, now that we've got everything done, we'll request the jetway to be disconnected, and then we will basically get on our way. So, yeah, let's request the jetway disconnection.
Birmingham ground, EG502. Could you please disconnect the jetway from the aircraft?
There we go, so they're going to do that. Let's request our taxi.
Birmingham ground, EG502 with India ready to taxi IFR. EG502 taxi to and hold short of runway tree. Via taxiway Yankee 2 Yankee 1 Echo 2 Sierra Tree Sierra Sierra 201. Contact tower on 118.305 when ready.
There we go, so we've got a taxi clearance, so we can acknowledge that.
And hold short runway tree using taxiway Yankee 2 Yankee 1 Echo 2 Sierra Tree Sierra Sierra 201 EG502.
Now, as a habit, what I do now is I always reset the altimeter. So it is 3042 here, so that's what we're going to. That's QNH 3042. So that resets the altimeter to the right level, which is what we need. It's always a bit funny when you first start it. So now the APU is on, but you've also got to bear in mind that we haven't actually got any engine power because you haven't actually pushed back yet. So you don't really start the engines until you start pushback. So let's get pushback now. Now that we've got taxi clearance, and yeah, we can get on our way. So let's request pushback.
Birmingham ground, EG502 requesting pushback. EG502 pushback request accepted.
Lovely. So they're going to push back the aircraft. So I need to turn off the parking brake while they get that going. In the meantime, we're going to start our next checklist, which is starting engine. Very simple. Make sure the thrust levers are idle. Then we'll turn the engine mode selector on to ignition start, which is this one down here. Just want to zoom in, just see that there, it's on ignition start now. You always start engine number 2 first, so we'll get that started. And yeah, just need to basically wait now for that engine to get started up, and then we'll start engine number 1. In the meantime, I'm going to have a look outside and make sure they're not going to push us back into another aircraft. Because you know what this game's like. It's great, but it's also a barrel of laughs. It's typical AM.
Birmingham ground, EG502 requesting pushback tug to steer the aircraft to the right.
Yeah, we're going.
EG502, your request has been transmitted to the operator.
I'm going to have to stop the pushback here because...
Birmingham ground, EG502 requesting the end of pushback. EG502 request.
Right, okay. I would be very, 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 very scared if I was this aircraft, because when we start our engines up, he's going to be right in the wake of that, I'll tell you that. Oh well, fair play, whatever. But I love this. You can see the heat coming out the back of the aircraft. Look how it blurs the camera. That is awesome. That is a seriously high level of detail, I'll tell you that. It looks fantastic. But I tell you what, that is fantastic. I love this view, where you can get this view here. Let me just... oh, there we go, lovely stuff. Right, so that's engine number 2 started up. Let's just make sure we've got that on. Yeah, that's good, lovely, super. So let's start engine number 1. We go back to our checklist. And tick that we started engine number 1. We also need to put the parking brake on now. And we're going to take our flaps to flap 25, which seems about right. So, our flight plan is automatically being loaded into the simulator, which I like to do. It means you don't have to mess around with the FMC, which is what makes this aircraft very unrealistic, but at the same time, I hate messing around with the FMC. If you could have this in real life and you wouldn't have to mess around with an FMC, it would make life so much simpler. So, for me, this is just about right until I get to, obviously, the next stage of learning. And I will. I really want to learn how to work everything, but obviously I'm quite happy where we are for now. Definitely. Anyway, so you can change. You've got the flight route put into your put into the system now. You can change obviously the range on this, so you know you can actually view the full flight route. So basically, we're taking a right and then we're heading over to Edinburgh, which is over there. Now I like to have it on about 20. That works for me, to be honest. You can also like change what it's viewing, which is kind of nice. I always have it on arc. Arc is probably what works best for me, to be honest. But yeah, we've also got 2 good engine starts. So now what we can do is we can go back to the checklist and tick off the last one. Engines are stabilised. So now you need to turn your APU bleed off, because there's no point having the APU on now that the engines are started. And put that back to normal. Righty-ho, so that is all 3 checklists done, by the looks of it. So there we go, nice and simple. It is time to get going on our flight to Edinburgh, so welcome aboard everyone. Right, so let's take the parking brake off. What I'm going to do now is just going to increase the power so that we can get going. I know exactly where we're going in this. If you don't know where you're going, if you just press V, it will bring up the VFR map, and that will essentially show you where you are. So we're here, we're taking off from this runway here, so we've only got a very short taxiway here, and then we'll be up on our way all the way up to Edinburgh. As you can see, the full flight is put into this handy little VFR map. So you usually need about 34% power to get going. Yeah, that's about right. There you go. And I like to be a little bit taller in this simulator. I tend to find that it automatically presumes you're only 3'9" in this simulator, whereas most people aren't. Some pilots are actually quite tall, and you can actually see quite way over this. So I will take our taxi lights on. There's no real point. You're not going to need them, but they're more for recognition more than anything. It's like why motorbikes have their headlights on during the day. It's purely for recognition more than anything else. But yeah, so we're now well on our way. We're going to be taking off to Edinburgh very shortly. I reckon we'll probably be in the skies in less than 2 minutes' time at this rate, which will be very, very good indeed. I'll always double check with the altimeter at this point. Yeah, we're still on 3042. That will change as you go throughout the flight, so always make sure you update it. I usually update it every 10 minutes. More often when you're landing or ascending, because obviously it can change the ascent rate. But anyway, here we go. So we're going to go right to the end of the runway, because I think that's probably best. Most easyJet flights will just take a right here and they'll head onto the runway there, but I'm going to do the most appropriate thing and go all the way to the end of the runway. So yeah, if you want to see some more flight videos from me, do let me know. I love Flight Simulator, I really, really do, and I'm thrilled to do more and more flights every day. I don't actually have that much DLC. I think I must have like maybe one airport, and that's my home little light aircraft airport that I used to fly from when I was a little kid with a friend of the family who was a stake in an aircraft there, a light aircraft. So I've got that, and I think I might have shown that on the channel. It's been so long since I've done a Flight Simulator video, apart from obviously the default stuff. So just taking our power down now as we approach the runway. We are going to be stopping in a minute. And we'll need to get our ATC up so that we can tune onto the ground, tune onto the tower. Should be better. So about here seems to be a good place to stop. And let's request takeoff.
Birmingham Tower EG502 ready for IFR departure runway 33. EG502 altimeter tree 0.42 entry 50 at 8. Cleared for takeoff runway 33. Cleared for takeoff runway 33 EG502.
And there we go. We've got takeoff clearance, lovely. So what I like to do now is to get the AI to take control over the ATC. I can't remember how to do that though. Is it this one, flight assistant? Is it flight assistant? AI? Yeah, there you go. AI radio communications. Lovely. Because when I take off, that basically means that the first officer, essentially the person next to me, can take control over the ATC, whilst I take control over the putting the autopilot on, and the gear up, and all of that jazz. Normally the first officer does the gear up, though, to be honest. So what you would say now is cabin crew prepare for takeoff, and then you'd have to wait for them to do all their thing. But we're just going to presume they're in place for the purpose of the video, and we're now going to put our taxi light onto takeoff, which is what we need. And now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn up the game volume for you a little bit, so you've got a bit more, and we're going to get going. Welcome on board flight to Edinburgh. Let's get going. That's Toga. Lovely stuff. Right, let's get into the air. So we'll tell you where B1 is and where you rotate. Not as precise, obviously, as if you'd done this as a flight plan, but B1 and rotate. Lovely. Nice light flight today. Positive rate gear up, and immediately put the flaps up, just because things are going to get interesting now. So we'll turn the autopilot on. 3,000 fleet per minute.
Good day. 118.775 EG502.
See, this is what I have issues with this aircraft.
Is passing 1,100 feet, climbing 6,000 feet.
You're gonna let me, or?
Manchester Center altimeter tree 0.42 continue to BBN 32 as planned.
There we go, lovely stuff. Right, so that's all set. Right, it will follow the... What does it want us to do? Keep speed...
Keep speed not above 250, not EG502.
Okay, yeah, cool, that's fine. So the auto throttle is something that I'm still learning how to use, if I'm absolutely honest. It's a bit of a funny, tricky system, you see. So we're now losing speed at a ridiculously high rate, so I'm going to take off the auto throttle. Let it just do its thing. Sometimes I manually do it. there we go. Manually doing it works, but there we go. We're in the air. We've had the ATC all managed by the AI, which is brilliant. That's what I struggle with sometimes, trying to manage everything at the same time, especially when the game tries to, won't let you use the ATC menu properly or something like that. But anyway, we're here in the air. That is us done. The aircraft is now going to basically ascend all the way up to whatever the cruising altitude it chooses to be. Yeah. Have a look. Where does it want us to get up to now?
And maintain 15,000 feet. Climb and maintain 15,000 feet, easy 502.
There you go. And we'll get up to 15,000 feet.
Manchester Center speed bird 283.
Ah, we have some AI traffic. That's what I like to do. And we'll turn the terrain on because I like having the terrain on.
Speed bird 283 Manchester Center. Continue as planned.
So what we're going to do is, in a moment, we're just going to take a right turn. If I press the V, I'll show you exactly where we are. So we're just coming up to Lotham, which is one of our beacons. VFR maps crash, which is brilliant, lovely. We'll get rid of the VFR map. Everything goes wrong in these videos. Never goes wrong.
14 contact Manchester approach on 118.58. Good day. Easy 502 climb and maintain flight level 230. Climb and maintain flight level 230, easy 502.
Lovely.
Logan 6 tree, 7 UR tree, 6 miles northwest. Descend and maintain 9,000 feet. Keep speed not above 210 knots. Expect ILS runway tree approach via Bravo Hotel X-ray transition. Clear to Bravo Hotel X-ray. Easy 502 climb and maintain flight level 250.
250 now. Wow, they like to do it.
Easy 19905 contact London Center on 118.475. Good day. Jersey 75 to UR 46 miles south. Descend and maintain 4,000 feet. Expect ILS runway tree to approach via Lima Bravo Alpha transition. Clear to Lima Bravo Alpha. Climb and maintain flight level 250, easy 502.
There we go. Lovely. Beautiful view out the window, as you can see.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet.
That is the
ILS runway tree to approach
wonderful
via Lima
British
Bravo
Isles.
Clear to Lima
We're going to
Bravo
see the
Alpha
Scottish
transition
Isles
runway 2.
once we get to our cruising altitude. So this will be Northampton area here, where we've got the left turn approaching. I've got it on auto throttle, hoping that it seems to work its way, but yeah. Now it's time to sit back, have a Coke, and basically enjoy the flight. It's only going to be 45 minutes, so just make sure that you're in your seats, you are fastened in, you do enjoy the flight, and enjoy the in-flight entertainment now as we make our way up to Edinburgh. Enjoy the flight. Welcome back everyone. We are currently approximately just over 20,000 feet above the Scottish Isles now. So we have been cleared. We started descending actually very, very early, about 5 minutes before we got to Carlisle. So we were actually at our cruising altitude of 38,000 feet for only 2.5 minutes before they wanted us to descend. Yeah, this has actually been quite a quick flight today. So we are now in the sort of descent phase of the flight, where we are effectively descending into Edinburgh, and effectively it's not going to be too long before we arrive. I reckon it's going to be around 10 minutes, 15 minutes before we're on the ground. We did have a little bit of a glitch, and I will admit to this because Microsoft Flight Simulator is a bit funny, and the plane started going off course just for no reason, out of absolutely nowhere. It just started turning right in the middle of the flight, just completely out of nowhere. So all I did is I turned off the autopilot, I put us back on course, and then I turned it back on, and it just started working again. So yeah, this is not a fault-free simulator, I'll admit that to any course. For some weird reason, this simulator has been plagued with glitches and issues ever since it released. But the lighting, the dynamics, the interactive elements of it, the simulation, just how beautiful it is, it knocks that all out of the park. If you can withstand a few random weird glitches, as you can clearly see, then this is definitely the simulator for you. But yeah, we're turning now, so that's us doing our right turn heading towards Edinburgh. So we actually haven't got too long now before we will be in Edinburgh. We're about 17,000 feet. Descending down to 6,000. Once we get to 316 ED, that is essentially us on the approach. As you can see, we'll be turning left into Edinburgh right here. So Musselburgh, as I said, Musselburgh is about here at 284 ED. We're currently, literally, actually now on the approach, to be honest. So I do want to make sure we get that that speed down. To be honest, I am going to turn the speed down. That is one thing I have noticed. Our speed is creeping up and our descent rate isn't. So we're actually quite high at the moment. I might need to increase that descent rate in a minute. Because for some weird reason it started descending us really early, which is quite disorientating for me. Because if you start descending too early, you have a feeling that you don't need to descend as quickly, because you're so much further away than you need to be. So I was descending at approximately 1,000 feet per minute. I increased that to 1.5, and I've now increased it to 2, but we are still actually quite high, to be honest. At this point of the flight, the real flight, let me have a look here. At this point of the flight, the real flight was at 9,000 feet, and we're at 14,000 feet. So yeah, I am actually going to increase that descent rate to 2,500 feet per minute, just to make sure that we get down. We are very, very high at the moment, given our position. It's just kind of put me off. I don't know why they descended us so early. When I had a look at the real flight and I had a look at the playback, they cruised up to 33,000, and to be honest, they were descending by Penrith. So quite realistic, definitely. I just need to make sure we get this speed down nice and quickly now.
121.205 for EZ502.
Because we are going very fast, we're also descending
EZ502 is passing
quite high.
13,100 feet, descending 6,000 feet. EZ502 Edinburgh, approach altimeter 30.29er, continue to 316 ED as planned.
Right, that's fine. Okay, lovely. So because we have got an ILS, I am going to turn the ILS view display on, so that effectively can display the diamonds, what they call the diamonds, we'll use. I want to also turn the displays up so that you can see them properly. Right, so you can see ILS runway 24 is inputted into the system. It knows which one we're going to be landing on, that's good. You've got the diamonds here, the ILS diamonds. They will synchronise up to each other at about 260 ED. Between 260 ED and Foxtrot India 24, they will synchronise to each other. At that point, you press the approach button and the aircraft will descend itself. But you need to be at 6,000 feet at that point, which is why I was a bit funny about our speed, because we are still going quite fast still. Anyway, I don't need the VFR map on, the ATC is going to do itself, so now we can basically focus on the aircraft in its entirety. Now we are still going quite fast. I am going to idle the aircraft now, but I am also going to put some speed brakes on, because I am conscious that we're going very, very fast indeed, and I want us to get ourselves down to below 250. Because we're over Musselburgh now, we need to get that speed down.
EZ502 descend and maintain 4,000 feet.
Oh no. It's going to be lower. Oh.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet. EZ502.
All we can do is get our speed down and hope for the best. This is going to be quite a rapid landing, guys. I hope you're ready. I really do. Usually I'm much more prepared than this, but obviously it's massively thrown me off today. So I'm going to put the speed brakes up to 25%. Up there, that'll do. That's fine. Get us down. Just because I know where the flat speed is. Oh, for God's sake. 3,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 3,000 feet. EZ502.
So that's 6,000.
EZ502, you are 13 miles east of Edinburgh.
Right, here we go.
Contact Edinburgh Tower on 118.705 when inbound.
Okay, that's lovely. Will do.
Tower on 118.705 EZ502 Edinburgh Tower. Edinburgh Tower, EZ502, 13 miles east of ILS runway 24
Okay,
approach.
it's doing what it wants.
Cleared
Fine.
ILS runway 24 approach. EZ502, contact Edinburgh approach on 121.205.
No idea what it's doing now.
Good day. Going to 121.205
Oh no, rain,
EZ502.
rain, rain. Here we go. It's going to be fun. Right, landing lights on. And I want my flaps on. Yeah, I know we're over speed.
Overspeed.
I know.
Overspeed.
We're over flat speed.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
No idea.
Overspeed. Overspeed.
Right, I'm going to turn us on to approach mode. Hope that works. Diamonds are going to line themselves up. We're losing a lot of speed now, as you can see, which is good and bad at the same time. Just need those diamonds to marry themselves up. So we've married one up. Yep, one's there. Just need the other. And the others. Lovely. Brilliant. Let's do gear down. Next stage of flap. Can't see the runway just yet. I don't know if anyone else can. Yeah, I can. It's there. Lovely. Okay, lovely. So we're just over the firth of the fourth, I think it is. The fourth of the firth, whatever it's called. And we're just on the approach now into... You can see the diamonds have married themselves up now. There we go, and there we go. Lovely. That means we're perfectly on the approach. Got the terrain map on, so you can see where the terrain actually gets quite big over there, which is because it's Edinburgh and it's very, very hilly. Randomly gets very, very hilly, definitely. It's built in a valley, so...
2,500.
Oh dear, I haven't changed the altimeter. Come on. Right, well this is as per the ILS, so hopefully it navigates us in fun. I don't need to do anything now apart from let the ILS take control, and then I'll take control at about 500 feet. Pilots probably take control a lot sooner than that in real life, but no, I'm happy for the aircraft to do what it wants to do. I'm not that confident just yet. I'm still learning. You've got the fourth bridges over there. This is Edinburgh here on the left-hand side. I know it doesn't look exactly like Edinburgh, but it'll do. This is Edinburgh Airport, so you've got the trams going to the airport now as well. So. Here we are. We seem to be good on the pappies, lovely. Well, of course we're good on the pappies because we're on an ILS, so I hope we're good on the pappies. Let's do full flat. Increase the power just to compensate. Too much, obviously. We want to remain around 150, 40. This is good for me. It's 1,400 feet. Fantastic. Edinburgh looking a bit better now, definitely. Yeah, a bit of a varied weather here. It was gorgeous weather when we left Birmingham, as you saw, but definitely not gorgeous weather here in Edinburgh, not Birmingham. I remember doing this flight myself actually, turning, seeing the four bridges, and in a video as we landed. I've actually got an in-flight. Well, I might have. I can't even remember if I do anymore. But
1,000.
I do remember getting in-flight videos from this. There we go. So we're at 900 feet. We're still letting the aircraft do its thing. 140, exactly where we want to be. Full flaps. Pull the auto brakes in. It's even. Fine. So I said 500 feet, I'll take control. Turn, that's 500 feet. My aircraft? 400 feet. 300 feet. 200 feet.
100.
I don't
60,
know.
50, 40, 30, 20. Retard 5.
Look at that. For a landing. Oh. Butter. Absolutely butter. We're going to have to backtrack. It feels like we're going to have to backtrack. I can't remember what the runway's like here in Yeah, we are. We're going to have to backtrack. Bugger. I can't remember whether there was a taxiway or not. What does V say? Oh, there are taxiways. I thought we'd have to backtrack. Okay. We'll turn left in the next taxiway, which is this one here. We'll turn our landing lights off in a second as well. It'll take us onto the ground. Flaps up. Landing lights off. Well, I say it'll take us onto the ground. I think the ATC is buggered. Let's have a look. Edinburgh ground. Yeah, there we go. That's fine. Right. Press taxi to gates.
Edinburgh ground, EZ502, request taxi to the gate.
EZ502 taxi to gate 9er using taxiway Alpha Echo Foxtrot.
Taxi to gate 9er using taxiway Alpha Echo Foxtrot EZ502.
Oh, what would I do? Lovely stuff. So, welcome to Edinburgh, everyone. Hope everyone's had a fantastic flight. It's been a pleasure being your captain on board today's 504 to here in Edinburgh. Look at that contrast, eh? Bloody hell. There's some bad weather in Edinburgh at the moment, I can tell you that. Bloody hell. But it looks fantastic. And I've thoroughly enjoyed that. That was actually quite a nice hop, actually. Not too long, not too short. Plenty of flying and fun to do. Yeah, Birmingham to Edinburgh. Try it out yourself if you want. Definitely worthwhile to do. And I'll probably be going. Madeira is my next destination that I'll be doing in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'll probably do that one on my own, but if you've got any suggestions on any flights you want me to do anywhere in the world, I don't have any DLC, but anywhere in the world, just let me know. I'll be happy to look into it. Yeah, just want to see what you guys want me to do. I don't have any specialist aircraft or anything like that as of yet. I don't really invest that much into it, but if there's an airport that you particularly want to see, Flight Simulator usually hasn't done very well, which is why I wanted to try out Madeira. I was going to do Porto to Madeira in a TAP Airbus A320Neo. That was going to be a nice little fun run from mainland Portugal to Madeira, the island of Madeira. But yeah, we're in crummy old Edinburgh at the moment. Ugh, horrible weather here, definitely. So we'll take a right turn here, and then we'll take a left because I'm going to go and park up where I parked up when we went to Edinburgh. I did the flight back in October, was it November? I think it was November last year, and I did it to coincide with the launch of Lumo. So I needed to get up to Edinburgh, and I thought to myself, well, I don't want to go up by train, it's going to take forever. But I'd like to overnight because the train is, 6 AM in the morning. Sorry, it's 9 AM in the morning from Edinburgh. There's no way I could have got from here to Edinburgh at 9 AM for 9 AM in the morning on the same day. I think I've gone the wrong way. I genuinely do. It's the jet bridges around there, so yeah, I've gone the wrong way. My apologies, I'm just not used to this airport. So I very rarely fly in, so but yeah, it was to coincide with the launch of Lumo, which was the operator that operates Class 803s on the East Coast Main Line. I travelled with Lumo just on the short journey on the first train, on the first day of service from Edinburgh down to Newcastle, and then I took a cross-country train, not operated by cross-country, but a train that went cross-country, Newcastle to Carlisle, and then Carlisle down. It was quite a nice journey, to be honest. But as normal, the weather was a bit touch and go in Edinburgh. It always is. It's never perfect in Edinburgh. I've always found that when you're on the banks of the Forth, it's yeah, it's always touch and go. I can tell you that. Increase on speed and get ourselves to the gate. Well, I hope everyone has enjoyed this flight as much as I have. I like doing these flight simulator videos because it's a chance to do a video that's a little bit longer than usual. It's also a chance to delve into the flights that I do, and that is probably the best landing I think I've ever done in Flight Simulator. That was absolutely butter. I'll never find out the feet per minute, the landing rate, but I wish this game would tell you the landing rate, definitely. Look, out of all the aircraft to put us next to, it has decided to spawn a Kingfisher Airbus A320Neo. So not only is that an airline that doesn't belong in Edinburgh, not by any margin of the imagination, but it's also a defunct airline. So you've just got to love what this game does, definitely. Is this guy going to move out of the way, or are we going to have to move it? trying to marry ourselves up with this jet bridge here. I think that'll do. Don't know why the jet bridges are broken here, don't ask. I don't ask. And there's another plane that's just arrived. Anyway, that'll do for me today. Welcome to Edinburgh. Let's request jetway connection.
Edinburgh ground easyJet 2. Could you please connect the jetway to the aircraft?
easyJet 2, the jetway is going to be connected.
There we go, let's get the APU started up, and once that's... yeah, I know the door's open, that's good. I told them to do that. Turn off the engines. Righty-ho! Bye-bye engines. And there we go. Welcome to Edinburgh, everyone. Hope everyone has enjoyed the flight. Yeah, grim weather here in Edinburgh. Absolutely grim. Oh, we forgot to turn that light on. Anyway, welcome to Edinburgh, everyone. Hope everyone has enjoyed that flight. It's been the absolute pleasure to bring you here to Edinburgh, all the way up from Birmingham. But yeah, absolutely my pleasure. I will definitely be round for the next video here on LM Simulation. I'm on a bit of a random schedule because I haven't really got anything planned at the moment, so we will probably be doing Farming Simulator. That's something I've got to catch up on as well, so yeah, Farming Simulator will be next week, but I hope everyone has enjoyed this flight in the meantime. I do wish you all the very best, and I'll see you in the next video. All the best, do take care, and ta-ra!